Hello and welcome back to Overbooked. I'm Amanda and today we're going to be talking about the book Three Women by Lisa Taddeo. I have a lot of thoughts this morning about this book, and I was looking at a lot of reviews and I was thinking about it and reflecting on it for the past couple days. But I want to say that I really enjoyed it. I really enjoyed reading the stories and I was fascinated by it. This book is about obviously three women. It follows the lives of Maggie, who is involved in not only one but two relationships involving very older men, and she is under the age of 18, and then the last one being her teacher, who she eventually brings to court, and he is found not guilty. Her story is honestly the hardest one to read, but hers is also the one that I couldn't wait to get to. The chapters are broken up into each individual woman, and I was like, I just want to go to Maggie next, because her story is so fascinating, and you're the whole time you're like, what is happening here? What is going to happen? And what is she thinking? What's her thought process throughout this whole thing? And then we have Lena, who is in an unloving relationship, and her husband refuses to kiss her, which I think it should be kind of clarified. I think he refuses to French kiss her. I don't think he refuses to kiss her at all. But regardless, he doesn't like touching her. He doesn't want sex from her. He doesn't want anything from her. And it's pretty much just this loveless, touchless relationship. And so she seeks passion and touch from somebody else, and she finds it in an old high school flame. And then we have Salone, who is in a marriage with a man who likes watching her have sex with other men. And she partakes in that, and they end up having this great relationship with this other person. And it's great because she doesn't have feelings for him, but she's comfortable with him, and he's in a marriage as well, but he doesn't tell his wife about it, so it gets destroyed ultimately because his wife finds out and is clearly upset about it because he didn't have those boundaries and didn't disclose what he was doing with his wife. Salone has to deal with the aftermath of losing this person and losing this great dynamic in the bedroom, but also getting the wrath of this wife of the man that she was sleeping with, because she doesn't know the full story, and Salone refuses to admit that her husband had a part in doing this. It wasn't just her cheating on her husband and making this guy cheat on his wife. It was a lot of other moving pieces. It's really fascinating. It's really interesting to read these lives of these women. I feel like the inner super gossipy woman in me is coming out when I'm reading this, because I'm like, oh my god, Salone, what are you doing? You know what I mean? And it's really fun to kind of do that, but it's also heartbreaking at the same time, because none of these women are really in control of their sex lives. All of them, I feel are controlled by either their spouse or the man that they're involved with is controlling what they can have and what they can't. Maggie obviously is being controlled by her teacher. She can't tell her friends. She can't tell her family. It's the things that they can do are definitely controlled by him. She can't text him. She can't call him. She can't decide when she wants it. She can't decide, she can't initiate anything. It's all on his terms. And it's kind of the same thing with, Salone and Lena. And in Salone's case, she doesn't really get to pick who she gets to have sex with. It's her husband picks somebody, and sometimes she doesn't even find them attractive. She doesn't find them interesting, but she does enjoy, making her husband have pleasure. Hers is maybe the most in control out of all of them, because I feel like she does have these very open conversations with her husband, but I also don't think that she's being completely open, at the end of the day. So I don't think she has complete control. And then there's Lena, and obviously she can't control, she has no say in the sexual interactions with her husband, and she doesn't have any say in the sexual interaction she has with the man that she's sleeping with. You know, it's also all on his terms. He's also married, and he says multiple times he's not leaving his wife. It's very like, you know, he's in the mood, and if she doesn't get there in time, it could be over, and she wouldn't be able to have that experience that she craves. So it was so just like, I don't know. This is the thing. I found the book super fascinating, and for a while I was like, wow, this book was really good. I like loved it. But the more I thought about it, and the more that I heard about other people's perspective, it made sense that I started to have some like disappointments with it, I guess. So one of my first things initially was, I think today it is easier for a woman to want, like it's normal for a woman to desire sex. I don't think I think it's getting better. Obviously, I think there are some still weird things about it. Like, I don't think it's the 1950s anymore where women are like supposed to essentially hate it and just do it to make babies, and men are the ones who do it because it feels amazing. I think now it's more like common sense. Well, both parties enjoy it very much, and that's just it. So I think it was disappointing to read a book about three women who clearly had desire, but their desires weren't in their own hands. That was kind of disappointing, because I feel that I have, and this might be get a little rated R. Spoiler alert, this whole video is about sex. So keep your kids away, folks. But I do feel like obviously I'm a woman and I have desire, and I feel like I fulfill my desire in a healthy way, and I have very open conversations with my partner, and we discuss what is okay for both of us. You know, it's just kind of, I wish that, and I don't think that would have made as fascinating of a story, but I think it would have been awesome to see an example of a woman who had desire, was crushing it, was getting what she wanted in her own terms, and with a partner or with multiple partners, or, you know, with just different scenarios. And I think that would have been really nice. And I was a little disappointed that that's kind of the only stories I got were these, like, I don't want to call them sad women, but these women who were going through some tough times, you know? To keep going on the whole, I wish there was more examples of different stories. All of these women are white. And honestly, I think that they're all pretty much in the same area. Like, she says that they're spread across the U.S., different regions. One's from North Dakota, and the other one is from Indiana. To me, those are in the same region. So that was a little disappointing. And then we have like the Northeast. So yeah, that's a different region, I guess. But I couldn't tell the difference of where Maggie was in North Dakota and where Lena was in Indiana. It just sounded the same, honestly. So obviously these women are definitely from similar areas. And even the Northeast situation where Salone is, because at first, her story does, I think it takes part in New York, I'm pretty sure. But it definitely moves to like a smaller town, like a touristy town, where her and her husband run the restaurant. And it's like, they're all kind of from small towns. So it was like, okay, this is all very the same. And all of the women are white. Obviously, we're talking about North Dakota and Indiana. And like, not to whitewash those states, but you know, there's a lot of white people there. At the end of the book, she talks about how she interviewed a lot of women. I don't know the exact number, but she interviewed a lot, and a lot of them just couldn't do it. They couldn't have her follow them around. A lot of women couldn't be as open and transparent about their sex lives. And, you know, honestly, even being in a healthy sexual relationship with my partner, I don't think that I would want to do that either. And I think that's also just another thing about, you know, where we are in society today is I can enjoy sex and I can, you know, laugh about it with my friends, but I can't get in a deep analysis about it with somebody outside of my circle, you know? So I kind of get where she was coming from there. You know, it's hard to find women who would be so open and so transparent, but I find it hard to believe that there was literally no other options or no other women who were willing to do it besides these three women who were of different sexual orientation, who were of different race, who were literally just from somewhere past Montana. You know, it's kind of different. It was just different because I wish that there was a vast range, and I wouldn't have even minded maybe a larger book with 4 women or something, you know what I mean? Like something more. So, you know, I don't think we get this vast look at different women because we're kind of looking at the same. I mean, their sex lives are different, but ultimately I think they're all kind of the same. They're very similar. They all have to submit to whoever is in their relationship, and it wasn't diverse. And I think it would have been interesting to know what it's like to be a person of color and have this desire, or be a gay woman and have this desire, and it just didn't happen. And that was disappointing. I think in the book she does have a woman who was, I can't remember what race she is, but she's a woman of color, and she said that she had started following her, and then ultimately she ended up dropping off. But learning about her desires were fascinating. You know, different, how she enjoyed sleeping with women of the same color as her, but she loved sleeping with white men, and it was like this power dynamic for her. And I thought that was really fascinating and interesting. And I would have much rather read, I don't know, maybe something about that than one of these. I also felt weird. Another weird thing of mine about this book is, even though Maggie's story was one of the most fascinating books, I also felt very uncomfortable reading it at the same time. I mean, she's easy to find after you, like, these are supposed to be anonymous, like their names are supposed to be changed. She's super easy to, like, I Googled her and it's super easy to find who she is and who the teacher is after you read this book. She's not anonymous. It's not, like, hard to figure it out. I think the least she could have done is, like, put her in a different state. And maybe Maggie was fine with not being anonymous, but I mean, obviously she can't really be, but it was kind of weird because I didn't feel comfortable reading her story. It was just so, I don't know, like, what I'm trying to, how I, like, I'm not gonna say, like, unnecessary. Like, I felt like, was there something else you could have done for her instead of, like, I felt like it was very expose, but I also felt, I don't know, very torn about it. I felt very like her story, I don't know, I just felt very weird about it being told, and I felt bad for her. But I also felt like, okay, it's about time, because we always hear the story of the man in this situation. You know, you always hear this, like, about the man who raped somebody. This is his backstory, sad, sad, sad. And we never get to hear about the victim's story in such an in-depth look. So I think that was really nice. I can't really put my finger on it, why it made me feel so uncomfortable, but also fascinated me at the same time, and also made me feel very like, yeah, and then also like, no. But that's just kind of how I felt about her story. I feel like I just said a lot of, like, bad things about this book, but I did rate it 5 stars on Goodreads. I think this was a really interesting book, and I think it was a good place to start. I think that this could be a book that's improved on. I think that it could be so much more. I don't know. Her writing, Lisa Taddeo's writing, is amazing. It's wonderfully crafted. I thought that, there were some of the critics, things that people didn't like about it, which I think I am fine with, is that it didn't really do a deep analysis for you. And I don't think it really was meant to do that. I think it's meant to just tell you their story, and then you're supposed to think about it, you know? And I think that was great, because I don't think we really take the time to, like, really soak in information. So I didn't have a huge problem with that. I liked how she presented me the information, and then I needed to take away from it. You know, think of it what you want. I'm not going to tell you what to think about this sexual relationship. You just have to think about it. But if you haven't read it yet, I think you should try. I think you should try to read it. I thought it was eye-opening and fascinating, interesting. I think it would have been out of this park if it had more diverse stories and more stories of women controlling their sexual lives, but I still enjoyed it. I still liked it because I don't think we get a lot of these, and I'm not trying to be like, I'll just take whatever I can get. I do want something better, but I thought it was really enjoyable, and I definitely would recommend it to people. So if you haven't already, try it. I don't know, based off of what I said, maybe try to think about that. Read some reviews of your own, because I don't want you to waste your whole time. But in the end, it's a really fascinating writing. It's really good. It's super well written, and if anything, it kind of reads like a fiction book. So you could just pretend like you're not trying to learn about the sexual desires of women. You're just reading a nonfiction book. But I thought it was great. Give it a try. 3 Women by Lisa Taddeo. If you have read it, let me know what you think in the comments below. I'm really interested to know other people's thoughts who have actually read it. And if you haven't read it yet, maybe let me know what's stopping you, or what, holding you back, or anything. Just hit me up in those comments, guys. I love to chat. If you like this video, make sure you hit that thumbs up, and please subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. I come out with videos every week, and I will see you guys next time.